I see that in Mr. Rano, that inner urge was there, and it found an expression. And the most interesting thing is that it found students. Where is the future of humanity as a whole? It's a cliche to say that. It is easy to say that I'm giving them education. You know what's the easy?
Discovery and technology in school children. G.K. Chesterton said, Madras East and Saraswathi Vidhyalaya Senior Secondary School as an esteemed as contributions to the education of millions of needy children of our nation confer upon Sri Ramji Raghavan, the Vocational 2017, signed Rotarian K. Anand, President, Rotarian K.S. Natarajan, Saraswati.
We request to present a memento to our chief guest.
Good evening. We are at the business end of Paul Harris Cricket Carnival. So, lot of the semi-finalists: Golden Earth Panthers, VGP Rockers, Leo Legends, and Madras Warriors. Match starts at 8:30. In the same, which is going to happen at SRM College grounds. That's going to start at 10:30. I think the 11th of 28th Jan at Chepauk. Please do join us. It's going to be a fun-filled evening. Intra-RC match, which is the typical way we handle it. We're just going to be doing it an extra one because we had 70 people registered.
Request
Chief Guest, Mr. Sundaram, all of you, it's a great honor. You know, I don't, a lot of us don't work for awards, but it's always nice to get an award, you know. It's somewhat rare, so anything that's rare and scarce, the psychologists tell you is always valued. So thank you so much. You know, a few months ago, we had a young girl called Monica. I'm using her example not because that's the name of my wife, but it just happened that way. From a village near our campus in Kuppam, come and speak to our staff. I wanted our staff members to try and understand what impact, if any, they were having. So we said, why not call some children to come and speak about what difference, if any, Agastya was making to their lives. And Monica said she had been a hopeless student in school, government school, getting very, very low grades. And her father had decided to get her married off as soon as possible. I assume that happens in a lot of places in India. And she didn't want to get married young, so she was in a bit of a quandary when, as luck would have it, one day somebody persuaded her to come to the Agastya campus and at least see what was going on. So she came. And again, as luck would have it, that day the teacher called her to the front and said, "Hey, Monica, come here, show me your finger." And she didn't know why he was asking her to do that, but she did. And he pricked it. And she went, ah! She felt a bit of pain and saw her blood ooze out, which he took out. and analyzed and told her her blood group. As Monica describes it, she couldn't believe it. She had no concept of a blood group. It was her blood. She had no idea. She had felt some pain, so she'd never forget it. But all of a sudden, her world changed. Right? Just that one pinprick moment. And suddenly she realized, hey, there's a whole world of knowledge out there. And it seems quite interesting. So what happened was her motivation began to go up. I assume went through a few more pretty transformative moments, but essentially her own inner self-belief began to change. And she began to do very well in school, went back to her father and said, look, I'd really like to attend college. And he said, no way, you're going to have to get married. And then she struck a deal with him and said, now supposing I came first in school, will you allow me to go to university? He didn't believe that was possible, so he agreed. But she did come first in school. So she ended up in university. He honored the deal and became a leader of some 3,000 children in SV University. I used to play cricket against them when I was in Rishi Valley, so that was my exposure to SV University. And graduated with a science degree and came and gave this talk to our staff. And of interest to us, she inspired all of us. Suddenly the staff members began to think, hey, maybe we're on the right track if that's the kind of impact we had. So what does the story tell you? What it tells you is that transformation is not that difficult. It's possible if you engage with a person in a very powerful way. You don't have to spend years and years of lectures and so on and so forth, right? Just that one pinprick moment. And this little toy here is another example of that, and I use it wherever I go because it's beautiful. Firstly, it looks nice. It's very cheap. It's made in a place called Chennapatna near Mysore. It costs about 10 rupees. And when you put it on a surface, it sits on its bottom because that's where the center of weight is, the gravity, right? And it's got a narrow stem. But spin it on a surface and it tips over and begins to rotate on its stem. Very counterintuitive thing. And what happens, and it still happens to me, is what happened to Monica. You go, how did that happen? And your curiosity is awakened. Why does it happen? Is it because of the shape or the length of the stem or whatever? And if you do find out, you experience the famous aha effect, right? So and aha are profound ways of learning. The stimulation of your curiosity, the awakening of your mind, and then the process of discovery to answer questions. And finally, you must have fun doing what you're doing. And this is a lot of fun. That's why they call it a toy. And that's the ha-ha element. So what Agastya's mission really is to spark curiosity, nurture creativity, and instill confidence through hands-on experiential learning. In other words, to disseminate the spirit of aha, and ha-ha. And we think that's not just an education method or pedagogy. It's actually a philosophy of life. It's a nice way to live like that. So when I get up in the morning and go to work in Agastya, I ask myself, has there been any or aha or ha-ha? And sometimes you have all three, and sometimes it's one of the three, sometimes it's two, and perhaps sometimes there's none. Right? Then you have to ask yourself why. So aha, ha-ha is really what we're trying to do. And we're trying to bring about 4 or 5 behavioral shifts, which Monica's story, for the most part, captures.
Going to really do well and shine are ones not with the answers, but ones with the right questions. So the art of questioning. Now you mentioned Jiddu Krishnamurti. He used to say the answers in the question. I never understood what he meant till I got involved in Agastya and began to research and, interact with all these kids. So yes to why. From looking to learning to observe deeply. This tippy top, by the way, is not trivial. There's a picture on the internet of Niels Bohr and Wolfgang Pauli, Nobel laureates, watching the tippy top, and you can see on their faces the expression, they're smiling and wondering why it happens. There's a lot of physics and math in it. So looking to observe it. C.V. Raman asked the question, why is the sea blue? And voila, the Raman effect. So asking questions, observing. The third is from being very passive to learning to explore. The fourth is from being very textbook bound to being more hands-on, which is what we're trying to do. Because we have too many armchair thinkers. We need more action. Learn from action. And finally, the most important shift is the shift from fear to confidence. And that self-belief that Gandhi used to talk about. There was a great educator in Karnataka, Narasimhaya, and I read his obituary some years ago, and there was a story where he says Mahatma Gandhi happened to be passing by his school when he was a young boy, and Gandhi was a busy man, always on the move, and he happened to see this boy, young boy Narasimhaya, and went and patted him on his shoulder and said, "You look like a future leader." Just that. And Narasimhaya says, that moment transformed my self-belief. And he became, whatever he became. So transformation can happen in a second if you capture those magical moments. And that's really what we are trying to do in the Agastya Foundation, hopefully touching millions of children and bringing about change. So thank you very much for this great honor. It's wonderful to be here. My parents used to live just across the road on Boat Club Road, so it was kind of nostalgic. Of course, the house is now